All right, guys, so now we're going to get on to the next big feat for the Mustang. Might get into the torque converter, I kind of doubt it, but we've got these long tubes and this X pipe to get installed. Of course, you have to do like an obligatory cold start of the old headers and stuff on there. You have to have that comparison. Let me tell you, the parts that I took out of here, even the factory MLS gaskets for the exhaust manifolds, this stuff was just ate up. I mean, you can tell it was 21 years old and it looked like the car had sat in a darn old field because it still had the factory OEM O2 sensors in it. That's crazy. I thought they were changed, but obviously whoever worked on it did not do it. All right, so we got the manifold out. I took some pictures on it. Everything actually came out really good. Sprayed with some penetrating lube, broke them loose and the stud came out. We're going to change the motor mounts while we're in there as well, go with some factory replacements. All right, so we're on to day 3 here, and the reason we're on day 3 is because yesterday was a holiday, but that was a very valid reason. But I got this cool little cap here to cap off the EGR because I don't plan on using it anyway, and ran into a snag. Couldn't get the nut out of the factory header. Finally got it, but it didn't exactly turn out the way I wanted. As you can see, that little cap is really sweet, and it just threads onto that. But you can see the threads are boogered up, which wouldn't be a problem, except for when I finally got this out, it stripped threads on that. So I can't use that, and I'm not gonna order a special piece or anything. I want this thing done. Plus I'm gonna use an EGR anyway. So I went ahead and crimped this, broke out my little flux welder and just literally bent it in, pinched it, welded it up. So that'll hold. Now, if you do want to use the EGR, then obviously you're gonna have to get this little fella out or order you a new one. So to each his own. To me, bye. All right, so we ran into our next snag. It's getting the oil dipstick tube out, and guess what it did? Decided to break off from the block. So what I did is I'm gonna have to order a new dipstick tube, but for now I took the piece that was in the block that had snapped clean off, took a screwdriver and kind of chiseled my way into it, leaving like a little slit into it, and then knocked it down in the pan. I'm going to try to fish it out when I change the oil anyway, so I've yet to do that. So we're going to try to get it out, but it being that large, I don't see it being an issue as far as catching up into the rotating assembly or into the oil pump screen, but I'm still going to try to fish it out with a magnet, so we'll see how we go. Now, just in case this does happen, I left a before and after of what that hole should look like inside the block if you get all of the material out around that hole. So I'll go ahead and post those pictures for you now. You can see it right here in this picture of the damage from me trying to get it knocked through there. Now, it was hard to tell, but now you can see just how big that hole is once everything's knocked through. All right, so I went ahead and ordered that oil dipstick tube. So in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and change the oil, and then we're looking at this driver's side motor mount, see about swapping it out. All right, so now we see another problem area, this bolt right here for the motor mount. I suspect it's probably going to try to break on me when I go to try to remove it. So to make things a little bit easier for right now, I'm going to go ahead and leave this motor mount in here. And I'm gonna swap it out when I pull the engine and trans here soon. I'm gonna pull the engine and transmission together with the long tubes on it so I can swap out that torque converter. Now, for those that don't know, the torque converter on this thing, I don't feel like laying on the ground to swap it out. So I do have some rust on the inner frame rails that I want to go ahead and plate and patch up. So to do that, I have to have the engine and transmission out anyway. So I'm gonna pull them either over the winter or in the spring this coming year and swap that torque converter out then. That's literally the last thing I have left to do. What's up, man? Coming to help out a little bit? All right, so that's gonna go ahead and wrap up day number 3. And they've not been full days. They've been a couple hours here, a couple hours there, just running into snags, and I wanna make sure I'm doing things properly. Day 4 is gonna consist of changing the oil and getting that driver's side header mounted inside. All right, so I was able to find a makeshift fix for the oil dipstick tube. I actually ordered another dipstick tube for an F-150 at AutoZone. It wound up, I think it was part number 917-375 from Dorman. And what I did is I cut the bottom section off that broke off in the block, but I added about 3 inches to it and added a bend to it, and then have it to where a little rubber hose will connect the two, and I can still mount everything in its factory locations. And here you can see that I have it all marked, and it'll have a gap about that big into it, but it'll be flexible as well, so I can make sure everything mounts up with the long tubes. Also got that driver's side header started to go in, and they talked about maybe possibly having to dimple one of the runners on the one of the tubes, sorry, on the header to clear for the steering shaft, but I actually have plenty of clearance on both sides, so I got lucky on this one. I'll go ahead and throw up a couple of pictures how everything's starting to fit up over here on the driver's side. All right, so we got everything mounted up, everything test fitted with the new X pipe that comes with the long tubes. Everything fits up great. So now it's time to put everything up here back together and test fire it. All right, so it's late in the night on a Friday night, cars and coffees in the morning, so I've been busting tail end to get it done. You got everything hooked up. Got a slight exhaust leak right at the manifold, right to the white pipe, but been playing with some idle stuff, but here it is so far. All in all, the job sucked to do, I'm not gonna lie. But I think after the tuning, everything's done, it'll be worth it, because I did have to delete the EGR, so I had to reset the base idle reset and a couple other things. But that's other stuff in other videos that I've already explained. So don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and I hope you enjoyed everything.